So there's been a lot of information that's came out recently with the Nintendo Switch 2, from rumored games to patents that are out there to features, leaks, and everything. And in this video, I wanted to go over all of the confirmed and rumors, plus probably games that are going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, in addition to my reasoning for each one of these when it comes to the probably section at least. But I do think it goes with the territory when it comes with this type of video. This is a lot of rumors, so don't take it as 100% all of this is happening overall when it comes to the rumored and probably games, just as a disclaimer. So it's going to be a very interesting video. So let's go ahead and first start off with the confirmed first party and confirmed titles with the Nintendo Switch 2. The new Mario Kart game, Nintendo showed that off. We know that's coming, obviously. That's like a duh. Okay, new Mario Kart game, that's coming. They've bumped it up to 24 players. They've got a lot of different little things here and there. There's been some discussion and debate about the graphics and what it does and how it shows that the Nintendo Switch 2 is obviously going to be more powerful. But I do think that just the up to 24 racers from 12, considering how Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was on the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch, that is a huge strain on the system itself to jump it up that much. So definitely there's some extra horsepower in the Nintendo Switch 2 in order to do that and also run it at 60 frames per second, which of course Mario Kart games usually run 60 frames per second, especially all of the modern ones. So yeah, that's definitely going to be happening, and I can't wait to see more for April 2nd. Next up is a indie game called Synth Beast. This is a monster taming action RPG that has you use captured monsters on the scientists who created you. Is coming to both the original Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2, plus PlayStation and Xbox. So yeah, pretty cool. Maybe this could be your type of game. Another independent game that's coming over is My Time at Evershine. This is the third entry in the My Time series, which started with the My Time at Portia, which I think that's on the Nintendo Switch, and it's set for the current consoles and of course Nintendo Switch 2 according to the Kickstarter page. There's another one called Bestario, and this one is a turn-based role-playing game inspired by classic PS1 era adventures. Its Kickstarter page says it's coming to current consoles, the original Nintendo Switch and the successor, so in other words, the Nintendo Switch 2. So there's that. Now there was a couple other independent games. I couldn't track down the names as well, but expect a lot of independent games to get Nintendo Switch 2 ports. I think that that's going to be something that's happening. Next up is a game that's on the Nintendo Switch, two games, but Ubisoft has pretty much already stated that they will be bringing this over, and that's Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle and Sparks of Hope, but more specifically Sparks of Hope. Nate the Hate did add in there that there could be a collection when it comes down to it, so it makes sense for them to probably do a collection then upgrade it, because the games are already backwards compatible on the Nintendo Switch 2, so you'll be able to take the original cartridges and play those. But it'd make more sense to just get both games, put all the DLC, put everything on there, and then say, hey, look, this is going to be like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever they want to charge for. I don't know what they're going to charge, but it makes more sense to do that. The Mario plus Rabbids series is actually really good, and it has some of the best DLC that I've played out there for any Nintendo Switch 1 game. So I highly recommend it, and I do think that they will do that. The Ubisoft CEO pretty much said that they would do it when it comes to talking about the sales initially with Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. So he said, yeah, we're going to update it, put it on the next Nintendo system. So that's pretty much confirmed. Next up is Yuka Replay, and that game essentially hinted it, and the developers are pretty much stating it. So while I can't say it's 1000% confirmed, it's pretty much 999% confirmed. You know, it's pretty much there. Yuka Replay is going to be on the Nintendo Switch 2. It's going to be one of the early games probably. Obviously, the biggest sales pie for Yooka-Laylee was the Nintendo Switch, so obviously they're going to have the Nintendo Switch 2 with Yuka Replay, and they're upgrading this game completely. It's going to be a much better game than what Yooka-Laylee was on the Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PlayStation. So yeah, that's very exciting, because I actually want to go back in and see how much better they can make this game. I played it originally on the Switch, or was it on Xbox? I forgot exactly where I played it, but I know I played it, and I wasn't as impressed with the game compared to other 3D platformers, but I do think that this one is going to be considerably better based on the trailer that they did show off. They got a lot of upgrades to it. Next up, while this one's more rumored when it comes down to it, it's a first-party game. new 3D Mario, and I think that's kind of like a duh. There's going to be a new 3D Mario. There's always a new 3D Mario when it comes to a Nintendo system. But Nate the Hate also stated, hey, look, there's like a new 3D Mario game. So I think that people are asking, like, is it going to be Odyssey 2 or Galaxy 3? And I think that that's weird to say something like that. And the reason why I say it's weird is because usually when Nintendo makes a sequel to a 3D Mario game, they do it in very short proximity to the current game that they're trying to make a sequel of. So therefore you have more continuity with the people that are buying that game, and it's right there and you can take advantage of it when it comes to a sequel. But Odyssey was in 2017. You know, we're going on a decade of Odyssey at this point overall. So why would they wait so long to make a sequel? If they wanted to, they probably would have done it like back in like 2020, you know, or at least like 2019 or 2021. They would have done it a number of years ago. They wouldn't wait this long. Same thing for Galaxy. Galaxy's been done for a while now. It would be weird for them to say, okay, we're going to go all the way back to Galaxy at this point, you know, after Galaxy 2 came out in 2010. So we're on 15 years for Galaxy 2. So to me, that doesn't really make any sense. If they wanted people to play Galaxy on the Nintendo Switch 2, they'd probably just like upgrade it, remaster it, whatever, put it on a collection and put it out there like they did like Super Mario 3D All-Stars. So I think they do something like that more so than saying we're going to make a sequel to it. Now, it's possible, but I don't think so. This next 3D Mario game is going to have a brand new theme, brand new levels, brand new characters, and it's going to take advantage of what the Nintendo Switch 2 is overall. That's how Mario has been doing it when it comes to 3D Mario since the N64 days. With Mario 64, the Mario Sunshine used the actual, you know, GameCube controller in interesting ways when it comes to the pressure and the water and all that. Obviously, the power of the GameCube as well. Galaxy, what the Wii did, you know, they always try to take advantage and use something that the system is for when it comes down to it. So I see them making a brand new 3D Mario game with a new theme and everything, which is the way that it should be, to be honest. Now, next up is another rumored game, but I'm putting it in the confirmed or pretty much section here because The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild enhanced port. I mean, this is something that's been rumored far back before we started getting a lot of the leaks with the Nintendo Switch 2, and I do think that Nintendo will take The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and update them and put it on the Nintendo Switch 2. I think that's a powerful selling tool for people who maybe want to try out a really good game or even just having an instant awesome banger to play. Maybe if you're not into Mario Kart or some of the other launch titles that they do have. So I do feel that that will be happening. But Nintendo, I think, will definitely do it about a different way. Now, I don't know exactly what it's going to be. People talk about 4K 60 or people talk about DLSS and 60 frames. So we'll see how that works out. But there has been multiple rumors that Nintendo will be doing that. Although, once again, it could have been just like, hey, we're doing a tech demo to show the developers how much more powerful this is, considering The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild runs at 900p and 30 frames per second with some dips. And The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom runs at kind of like 1080p with some reconstruction or with some stuff that's kind of happening there. Kind of dips here and there in terms of resolution, might be a little bit dynamic. And of course, frame rate does dip below 30 frames multiple times, especially like when you pull out like Ultra Hand and stuff like that. So I do feel that they probably want to get those two games updated. So that would be pretty cool if they actually had an enhanced port and it kind of shows exactly what is happening there. But you know what else would be enhanced is if you actually enhance your repertoire of YouTube channels and hit that subscribe button to add my channel into it. If you're someone new, hit that like button as well and click the notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop. But let's go ahead and jump into all of the rumored games, and I will be providing links to all of the rumors in the description. So if you want to see where these came from, or at least I'll state who put the rumor out there and a little bit of what they've done before and what they've got right. So remember that if you're wondering where any of this stuff came from. So the rumored games, we've got Marvel Rivals. That's from the X-Task guy. I mean, Marvel Rivals, he thinks it's coming. The developer said that they're not bringing it on the Nintendo Switch. That makes sense in terms of from a technical perspective and how close the Nintendo Switch 2 is. But this game is making a ton of money on Xbox and PlayStation and PC. Really more just like PlayStation and PC. So I do see Marvel Rivals coming over to Nintendo Switch. It's a free-to-play game. It's like Overwatch, but with Marvel characters, and it's doing incredible. So I do think that for them, at least, that could be a big money maker with the Nintendo Switch 2 and a portable money maker as well, because you can be out wherever and still buy microtransactions or their skins or whatever they're selling on there. So I definitely think the Marvel Rivals developers will get that game on the Nintendo Switch 2. Next up is Metal Gear Solid Delta. This was from Nate the Hate, which a lot of these are from Nate the Hate, and he's flying on cloud 9 because he got the Nintendo Switch reveal date right, and he's gotten so many other things right as well. So definitely take what he has to say a bit more seriously overall when it comes down to it. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid Delta, it would make sense. Metal Gear Solid, the collection, is on the Nintendo Switch, and it did well on there. So absolutely, Konami would probably want to make Metal Gear Solid Delta on the Nintendo Switch too. So it makes sense, and this game is looking awesome. It's a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3, one of the best Metal Gear games. Some people feel that it is the best Metal Gear game, and I cannot wait to play this. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm a big Metal Gear fan myself, so this is going to be awesome. Metal Gear Solid Delta seems to be coming to the Nintendo Switch too. Next up is Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Once again, Nate the Hate on this one, but honestly, this could have been in the confirmed pretty much type of category, because Square Enix has came out and stated that we're going to be putting Final Fantasy multi-platform, that we're going to be making our big AAA games on Nintendo's consoles. We're going to be doing it on Xbox. So they've essentially said as much. They've pretty much put it out there that they're done with the exclusivity stuff after it didn't really work out for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy XVI when it comes to having exclusive deals with PlayStation. They're not making the type of profit they would like. Obviously, Sony helped them out with a lot of things in terms of mitigating the development, but what about the profit? What about the sales? What about the continued looking at your franchises and having that be part of the big sales atmosphere? 10 million units plus? Well, yeah, they're not getting anywhere close to that when it comes down to it. So they've made the decision to make Final Fantasy, the bigger ones, multi-platform, and it's going to start with Final Fantasy VII Remake, probably the integrated version, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as well. Both of those rumored to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and then yes, it's probably going to be happening, at least FF7 Remake this year in 2025, and then FF7 Rebirth in 2026. Now, next up, we've got a ton of Microsoft support that we're going to be going over. Nate the Hate is on this one, but essentially Microsoft is pretty much confirming this themselves as well with what Mr. Phil Spencer had to say in recent interviews. There's no red tape, and Microsoft was also listed on Nintendo's strengthening partnerships. So yeah, this is pretty much all happening, it seems like. So Microsoft Flight Simulator 24, Doom The Dark Ages is listed, Fallout 4 as well, and very interesting with Fallout 4 because they wanted to get that game on the Nintendo Switch 1. With the Fallout TV show, the popularity of the Nintendo Switch 1, it seems like they are doing some testing, according to rumors, for Fallout 4 on the Nintendo Switch 1, but they just couldn't get it running at an acceptable frame rate, which makes complete sense considering how crusty those games are even on Xbox and PlayStation. Now, they did get an update and it runs a lot better and everything on PS5 and Xbox Series and all of that, but we're talking like PS4 and Xbox One, considering how it runs on there sometimes. Yeah, I can understand just, hey, let's just wait for the next system. Fallout, the new season's going to be coming up as well, so I think it's going to be a perfect storm with Fallout 4, maybe getting some more sales, because they did make a ton of money off of people buying Fallout 4 again, buying it digitally and buying it on PC and all that because of these shows. So it makes sense that Fallout 4 would probably come over to Nintendo Switch 2. Next up is Starfield. Nate the Hate saying Starfield's coming over. I mean, this game's on Xbox Series S, so if they can get it on Xbox Series S, they could probably get a version going on Nintendo Switch 2, like Phil Spencer was saying as well, when it comes to them being able to develop for a wide range of spec of systems overall. And yeah, Starfield, it's not my favorite game out there. I've played it on the Xbox Series X, and it's just not for me, but I can understand how this game can be very appealing, especially after all of the updates, and having that portably, that might be a really cool version of the game to play. Moving on to Halo Master Chief Collection, and yes, this is happening. We've gotten multiple rumors of it coming to PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo Switch 2, with Forza Horizon also being named for the PlayStation 5, which we will talk about in just a bit here. The fact that that came over, that's like the holy trinity of Xbox games, one of the three, like Gears of War, Halo, Forza. So if that's happening, yes, I do think that Halo Master Chief Collection is happening. That's pretty cool. Next up, we also have Diablo 4. That's been rumored as well. Forza Horizon 5, like I talked about, it's already confirmed for PS5. This is also being ported over by Panic Button. They were a huge developer for the Nintendo Switch 1 with Doom and many other games. So yeah, I do think that Forza Horizon 5 is going to be coming over to Nintendo Switch 2 as well, just because it's also on PlayStation. There's also a new rumor of Fable. Xtas, he also has that as well. The new Fable is coming to Nintendo Switch 2 and PlayStation 5. So We'll see about that, but that would make sense as well. This is not a franchise that's had a ton of success in recent history, and would make a lot of sense for it to actually be able to sell. Okay, moving on to the next game here, guys. We're going to be talking about Tekken 8. This was leaked by a French retailer, FNAC, and this is interesting because there's always been Tekken games on a lot of Nintendo's newest platforms. We had Tekken on the Nintendo 3DS, we had Tekken on the Wii U, but Tekken skipped the Nintendo Switch, and we had Pokken, which is made by Bandai Namco, but it's not obviously Tekken, but it is a fighting game, and it is trying to emulate a little bit of what is done in Tekken as well. So it was very interesting to see that they didn't make Tekken for the Nintendo Switch 1. Now, there's a litany of reasons that that could be the case, but I do feel that they probably thought, hey, we'll probably wait. We'll put Tekken on the next system. Obviously, it's going to be more powerful. It's going to be more on par with what we see with Xbox and PlayStation. You can more easily make Tekken on the system. With the Wii U, they made Tekken that was on the PS3 and Xbox 360. With the Nintendo 3DS, they made a custom version, but that's obviously way cheaper to develop for. So it kind of makes a little bit of sense why there was no Tekken on the Nintendo Switch 1. But yeah, looks like Tekken, especially with that strong relationship that Nintendo has with Bandai Namco, Tekken 8 is coming over, and it's one of the better fighting games that we've seen in the modern history as well. Next up is Elden Ring. This is also Bandai Namco. Looks like this game is going to be coming over. Elden Ring has been rumored for quite some time and requested and wanted, so I fully expect Elden Ring to be coming over with a complete edition, probably with the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. I think that would be really nice to be able to get that into a bundle. And I think that people would actually really enjoy that because you'll get a true portable version of Elden Ring as well as the console version too. So it makes sense. People would want that. We did get rumors for Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 on the Nintendo Switch 1. Those never materialized, but we did get Dark Souls remastered. So we'll see overall how that works. Plus another thing, just like Nintendo had with that strengthening relationships from software was on there, so I do think that Elden Ring is happening. Now, recently we did get Take-Two come out and say that, hey, look, we're going to be supporting the Nintendo Switch 2. So that's got people thinking about Grand Theft Auto 6, which would be a huge get. Now, clearly that could not happen. Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, those didn't come over to Nintendo Switch 1, although we did get the Grand Theft Auto trilogy on the Nintendo Switch 1. So Grand Theft Auto 6 is not out of the question to come over to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I think that it's more of a 50-50 thing, and it's obviously going to be something that Nintendo works out with Take-Two and Rockstar in order to get that game, but that would be huge to be able to play Grand Theft Auto anywhere that you want on the Nintendo Switch 2. That's just be a big win considering how big this game is going to be and how much it's going to sell. I think that not having Grand Theft Auto 4 and Grand Theft Auto 5 on the Nintendo Switch 1, although it didn't hurt it with system sales, it was definitely something that probably could have done really well if they decided to put it out on the Switch. So we'll see what happens with Grand Theft Auto 6, but there's also rumors about Red Dead Redemption 2 and other Take-Two games coming over. So BioShock, Borderlands, things like that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Take-Two was a big supporter of the Nintendo Switch 1, and they already stated that they are going to be supporting the Nintendo Switch 2. So I would expect Take-Two games when it comes down to it. Now, moving on to some Ubisoft content here. Ubisoft has pretty much already came out and said, we love the Nintendo Switch 2, but they haven't talked about any games overall outside of what the president said about Mario plus Rabbids a while back. According to what Nate the Hate is talking about here, it looks like Assassin's Creed Shadows, Assassin's Creed Mirage, The Division, Rainbow Six Siege, so like a half dozen or so games are going to be coming over to Nintendo Switch 2, and those would all make sense considering their age with everyone except Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's the new game, and apparently it's not going to be ready for launch. It's going to be a later game because that game is launching in March, so it looks like it's going to be later in the year we're going to see that, but maybe we see Assassin's Creed Mirage sooner, maybe you see The Division or Rainbow Six Siege, and when it makes sense for the older games as well. I mean, those are pretty old at this point, so I do feel that just putting them out on the Nintendo Switch 2 and seeing who's going to buy them. When it comes to Ubisoft, you kind of need all the extra help that you can get considering what's been happening to that company overall and how they haven't been able to really boost their stock price and they've been having trouble with some of the sales. It would make sense to try to get a new player base as well with games that you've already done. And if you can get the port done efficiently and on time and for a good price, then clearly it would make sense to bring over the games. And Ubisoft usually supports Nintendo systems with their back catalog of games. So we saw that on the Nintendo Switch 1. So I'm pretty sure that these games are going to be happening on the Nintendo Switch 2. We also have Call of Duty Black Ops 6, or the next Call of Duty game. I mean, that's something that Microsoft has already stated, that they signed a 10-year deal, and it probably starts this year with the Nintendo Switch 2 and a brand new Call of Duty game. So yes, I would expect to see that, considering the deal that Microsoft has officially with Nintendo. We also have some Atlas action that's coming in here as well with Metaphor Refantasio. This one is from Midori, or more like formerly known as Midori, also known as Ryan from the Bronx. He's pretty much stated this, plus we've gotten some other information, and Atlas supports Nintendo systems. Atlas was also on the Strengthening Relationship. Obviously, Sega's on there as well, so yes, Metaphor Refantasio is probably coming over. Once again, rumored and probably coming over. The same guy, Ryan from the Bronx, also said that Xenoblade Chronicles X was coming at this point, and he was right with that. He was also right with a couple other things as well. Obviously, there's been some controversy with his sources and all stuff like that, but honestly, when it comes to Atlas stuff, he's been dead on with so many things. So I think Metaphor Refantasio, probably stuff like Persona 3 Reload, and all the games that didn't come out on the Nintendo Switch 1 from Atlas, you're probably going to see them on the Nintendo Switch 2. So that's probably going to be happening. Next up is some EA games too. So EA Sports, like the FC, the football game, formerly known as FIFA, yeah, that's coming. I mean, they put out the FIFA games on the Nintendo Switch and the FC games on the Nintendo Switch 1. They got the engine ported over and stuff. So I'm pretty sure they've already made preparations for FC to be coming over to Nintendo Switch 2 in the launch year. Next up, Madden. That's something that might have been somewhat shadow announced from the EA CEO, because he was talking about it to investors. These games can find some energy on the Nintendo Switch 2. So he essentially kind of shadow confirmed it, but it was interesting because he said they've always done well when it comes to Nintendo platforms with Madden. It's like, well, wait a minute, no. Yes, FC or FIFA, yes, before in the past you've done well, but not Madden. So I think he kind of forgot that they didn't support the Nintendo Switch 1 with Madden, which is a stupid idea. Obviously, that's a dumb idea to not have Madden on there, but I think he even realized afterwards that it was really dumb to not support Madden on the Nintendo Switch 1. So yeah, it looks like it's coming over to Nintendo Switch 2. Next up is probably something a bit more exciting than Madden and FC, and that is Star Wars Jedi Survivor Fallen Order. Could be a bundle, could be both games coming over individually, but this has pretty much been kind of leaked. It's been teased when it comes to some of the stuff on LinkedIn that Doc Trey has found. It's been rumored. I think Nate the Hate also talked about it, or there's been other solid sources, X-Test, that's talked about this. So it does seem like Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order are going to be coming over. They also did a port of the game over to PS4 and Xbox One. So if they did that, you bet they're going to have a Nintendo Switch 2 port as well, if they're porting down to PS4 and Xbox One. Now let's move over to the probably category overall. These are games that have no sources or rumors for them from what I can find, nothing credible overall, but I would say probably based on the developer and based off of what we've seen before and previous type of things that's happened. So Ninja Gaiden 4, that's Platinum Games, that's Team Ninja, and obviously Xbox with the publishing. I think that game's going to be over on the Nintendo Switch 2 as well. Monster Hunter Wilds, this is something that we don't know at this point. They're focusing obviously on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, but I don't think there's going to be some type of custom Monster Hunter for the Nintendo Switch 2. And we all know investors for Capcom, and obviously Capcom, with how much they sold of Monster Hunter Rise, they want to have Monster Hunter on a Nintendo platform, but I don't think there's going to be some type of custom Monster Hunter for Switch 2. I mean, it could happen, I could be wrong, but I do think that they're probably just going to port over Monster Hunter Wild to the Nintendo Switch 2. Hi-Fi Rush is a game that pretty much was kind of like coming over for the Nintendo Switch 1, that maybe something happened, maybe they decided to wait, or whatever the case is, but it looks like it's going to be on the Nintendo Switch 2 for Hi-Fi Rush, so probably on that one. Sea of Thieves, also another probably based off of Microsoft wanting to make as much money as possible, and that game already being on PS5, so I do think that's going to be happening. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Bandai Namco games just in general, expect to see ports of those. Nintendo Switch 1 got so many ports of various different games that were on PS4 and Xbox One, like Dragon Ball Kakarot and more, so I expect Dragon Ball Sparking Zero to be on the Nintendo Switch 2. Also probably to get a bump in sales in Japan, huge on that, because I do think that people maybe held out a little bit for a Nintendo Switch 2 version of that game. Cyberpunk 2077, people are speculating on this because of The Witcher 3, that being one of the first impossible ports when it comes down to it, and a game that many felt there was no way that it was coming over to Nintendo Switch 1, but it actually ended up happening. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the case with Nintendo Switch 2 because Cyberpunk 2077 is on PS4 and Xbox One. And yes, it doesn't run incredible on those platforms, but clearly the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be a newer system with DLSS, and it's going to be able to run the games better than those platforms. So I do expect Cyberpunk 2077 to get some consideration and probably have a port at some point on the Nintendo Switch 2. And Resident Evil games from Capcom, that makes sense as well. Resident Evil was dumped onto the Nintendo Switch. They put everything: Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, which, by the way, those games still sell, especially Resident Evil 6 and Resident Evil 5. But Resident Evil 6 has sold over 1 million units on the Nintendo Switch 1 itself. So I'd expect those games to come over. They did some cloud versions of stuff, which nobody cares or wants. So I'd expect them to actually have native versions of Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8, whatever they're doing for the next Resident Evil 4 remake. I think that's going to be coming over. And they might even update the older Resident Evil games 4, 5, and 6 to run better on the Nintendo Switch 2. So that could be a thing as well. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But that is the full list as of February, at least early February, for confirmed, rumored, probably Nintendo Switch 2 games. What do you guys think about this list? Was there anything that I missed from a rumor or something else out there? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch RPG content and more right here on screen. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.